In my last video, I theorized that being active or reactive in life is a large determinant in how we interact with one another, in this illusion that we call life. But what does that actually mean, practically? Here is a quick summary to help get one's head around this abstract topic. At its core, it is quite simple. It is the overlying workings that are more complex. As a child, we understand do long before we can conceptualize do not. The reason being is that do has an active component, while do not is simply reactive. That's it in a nutshell, but let's expand upon this to show how this works in real day-to-day life. Firstly, and most importantly, it is important to understand that a do not does actually work, as most of us will remember quite well from our childhood. It is just that do is a much more powerful and powering tool that gives agency instead of taking it away. You can have quite an interesting and varied life, being passive and simply reacting as well. It is more that you are riding the stormy seas of fate instead of actively steering a path through it. Being passive and reactive is what most of us do, but it is not where our true strength lies. I would hypothesize, all other things being equal, as impossible as such a thing is to quantify, an active person who does something will always trump someone who simply reacts and does not, in a situation where their individual experiences come into contact. For example, I don't want to get hurt will seemingly always lose to I'm going to hurt you. To be sure, you can defend yourself and win, but again, mostly only if you engage actively, deflect, disarm, pacify. All self-defense courses focuses on what you do in a given situation. That is what you practice. And it is this muscle memory in combination with your subconscious making snap decisions which kicks in when the adrenaline starts to flow. A contest between two active fighters will then come down to skill and luck, etc. But without being active, you have no chance at all. Away from purely physical engagements, this carries on into emotional interactions between two individuals. When you are arguing under stress or even just generally discussing a matter where you have divergent aims or opinions, those with an agenda, strategy, or defined goals will very often come out ahead against those who simply react to the interaction as they go along. Even when you have time to think, it is important to remember that your subconscious does not understand do not in of itself. Continually doing things you don't want to do will add up subconsciously and leak out in unpleasant ways. This is not to say that you should stop doing anything that you deem to be unpleasant. Instead, that you take ownership of it and actively engage it for a purpose. I don't want to go to work is reactive. I am going to work for X and Y reasons gives the same activity, agency, and purpose. The same can be true in relationships or any interaction between two individuals. I don't want to be alone is a totally different approach to a relationship to I want to be and have a good partner. The activity remains similar, but the approach completely changes the interaction and the outcome mostly for the better. There are many situations in which we undertake something unpleasant or necessary. However, if it is for a greater purpose or aim, and it is framed in our mind as such, then our subconscious will gladly assist us in finding the strength to carry on, instead of punishing us with negative emotions. And here is the most important part. If the activity you are doing cannot be explained positively or for a reasonable purpose or goal to your own and subconscious's satisfaction, then that is a sign that you are simply being reactive and something has to change. The scary part is, if you don't and simply continue to be reactive, you will get sick, first mentally and then physically. For many people, this can best be shown by our own physical aptitudes, sports, motor skills, writing, working, and other physical interactions. At a basic level, do not is still the most common entry-level introduction that any sort of increase in skill and prowess is always tied to. Do and do not. You learn what is to be done, practice what is to be done, and become proficient in doing something. Anyone who starts thinking, don't do this, avoid that, while undertaking the task will only hinder their progress or outcome. Our subconscious and our body do not react to do not. They don't understand it. If you actively focus your mind on do not, your body and subconscious focus will be split or derailed entirely, depending on the time frame of the action, from what you should be doing. This is most notable during activities with short time frames, like riding a bike fast through more difficult terrain. Look tree, hit tree versus look gap, go through gap is a good example of active versus passive in terms of what you want to do instead of what you don't want to have happen. What is true for physical interactions is also true for emotional ones. Being our best selves takes practice, purpose. This active approach is enough to kickstart a whole new way of seeing the world, seeing your life. It gives you agency and power, and control where you previously saw tedium and subjugation to fate. Try it out. Anywhere you can, change a don't to a do and see how it affects your attitude, your emotions, and the outcome. Just a small step will show you a path, one that self-rewards to help you to become the person you could always have been. Life is not a contest, but a journey. Take care all and enjoy the ride.